Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Scream Season. Today I'm going to do a review about the new thriller called Drop that is directed by Christopher Langdon, who directed other slasher films such as Happy Death Day and Freaky. This is more of a thriller, not a slasher. And fun fact, he also wrote the script for Disturbia from, I think, 2007 with Shia LaBeouf, which I vividly remember seeing that in cinemas and really, really loved it. And it's still like a really fun rewatch to this day. So there were a couple of things about this film that I really enjoyed. The first one being the lead actors. So it's got Megan Fahey and Brendan Scalena? I should know. I just know that he's the guy from It Ends With Us. Yeah. But I'm so excited for him to be in another film that is going to get people talking about this film and not all that drama. So I loved the lead actors. The chemistry I thought was really great. So the whole premise of the film is that this lady hasn't been on a date in a long time, and she's going on a first date with a guy she has been talking to for a couple of months online. And she's a bit nervous because A, she hasn't been on a date in a long time, B, she has a 5-year-old son. So it's the first time she's been away from her son in a couple of years. So she's a bit nervous, and she has some things in her background that make it more daunting for her, which I don't want to give too much away, so I won't. But it's a big deal for her, more so than just going on a date with a stranger. There's a few things happening for her that, you know, puts a lot of pressure on her, and she walks into this very swanky, fancy restaurant on like the 38th floor. So there's a lot riding on this date for her personally, and she's afraid of heights. So we're off to a great start. There were a lot of things about this film that I did enjoy. I don't want to give anything away in spoilers, but I liked the plot. I liked the idea of kind of just getting bombarded with messages, and the whole premise is that she basically has to kill her date, but also can't let him know what's happening. So it's this nice in-between where she's having to constantly talk to the person that's blowing up her phone and giving her directions on what to do, but also maintain a first date with this guy. And he's pretty patient, because I feel like most people would be gone like max 20 or 30 minutes into this date. And he does do his best to like stay around, and she does her best to kind of have the balance of freaking out internally, and to the audience we know that she is really scared for her son, who apparently has a hitman in their house ready to kill her son if she doesn't kill her date, but also trying to be charming and convince him that she really does like him. And not only that, she does like him. She's on this date and she really is enjoying it, even though it's kind of going sideways. Another thing I really loved about this was the set. It gave me a very like Red Eye kind of feel, being that the majority of it is set in the restaurant, and then the third act toward the end we do move to another location, exactly like Red Eye. 90% of the film they're on the plane, and then the last bit they end up at her dad's house. And I've always loved films that have very minimal locations, because you really have to have a good story and good actors keeping you interested, and it can be done really, really well. Like Red Eye, I think it's one of my favorite films. I love that. Wes Craven, I love everything he does. And then it can be done really, really badly. Or like this film, I think it was done very, very well. Was it amazing, groundbreaking, something completely new? No. I do think that maybe if it had come out 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been something very new and fresh, with the airdropping on the cell phone. I think it's just a few years too late to be kind of cutting edge and ahead of its time. But it still did a good job. The sets were amazing. The restaurant, the shots that they got were really, really cool. And he he didn't have to like pull out all the stops with some of these shots, but he chose to, because there is a lot of it that's the over the shoulder for each actor. So I like that when we're at the table, he's got to kind of do very static shots. And then there were other bits where the action ramped up and he was like, right, this is now my time to throw in a really cool shot. There's one shot where she gets like thrown across a bench and falls onto the ground, and the whole camera moves, and it's a bit disorientating, but it's really cool, and it's not often done. So that was really, really cool. Another big thing with films for me is the music. And this film doesn't really have songs in it per se. I mean, it had a nice score, nothing that I thought was like really, outstanding. It complemented the film really nicely. There is a piano player in the film, and I had one thought during the movie too, that the suspense was there and it was really good, but after a while I got a little bit sick of her constantly being on her phone. And I understand the premise is her getting airdropped these threats from someone and it is on the phone. But I had a thought where I thought, wouldn't it be really cool that somehow she gets a message from this guy not on the phone, and instead maybe the piano player starts playing a certain song and she's, looking at her date, talking, and then she kind of hears the lyrics of the song he is singing. And once she hears the lyrics, it's a clear sign that that is another message from the guy that's tormenting her. I thought that would just be kind of something a bit different. A, to give the piano guy something more to do, but B, just to kind of take it away from the phone for a little bit. And then to kind of incorporate a bit of music, which I think was a bit lacking in the film. I just thought that would have been a cool thing that, all the restaurant wouldn't think twice about the lyrics of this song, but she would hear it and immediately know. Kind of similar to Final Destination 3, where they have the song, "There is someone walking behind you," and it's just, it means nothing to anyone else, but the certain characters, there's like, oh, that's for me. That's a sign for me. I don't know. I thought that would have been cool to like incorporate something like that and like change it up from constantly being on the phone. But all in all, I thought it was a great movie. It did have suspense. My suspense kind of tapered off towards the ending, which was a little disappointing for me. I think it just got to a point where it was a little bit unrealistic at that stage, and I kind of mentally tapped out a bit. But it was a fun ride. I enjoyed the film. I would probably rate it like a 2.5 out of 5. It's definitely worth a watch. Is it going to be a groundbreaking film that people talk about for years to come? Probably not, but it's fun, and I think it's one of the best things to hit the cinemas in a couple months, for sure. So yeah, let me know what you think of the film Drop, what you liked, what you didn't like, if you think airdropping worked in the thriller setting, and what you thought. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye. No spoilers. I hope. I'm going to talk and hope that I don't give anything away, and if I do, I'm just going to edit it out. Not me, my boyfriend will.